All right, this video is just going to be a little case study about how to come up the LOI, letter of intent, based off of what loan to value and price you're going to fit onto the property to make it work and make your negotiations with the seller work and walk into a property and ideally pull cash out. So I'm going to give you an example of that. I'm going to go over where you can find the commercial real estate and obstacles that you may need to overcome to get into one. So once you get into a property, your first couple, you might have to do a little bit more creative financing just to pull it off, or come to me and I'll get you like 500,000, and then I can get you in all these bigger properties and we won't have to do as much creative financing, and it's easier to pull things off and get money. But once you do get into them, it's a snowball effect and we can bridge off of them and it's game over. You just have to put in the effort and find them, and I'm going to tell you how to find them and get things started. So first off, you're going to, like I mentioned in some other videos about where you find the commercial real estate, you're going to look at Zillow, CRE, CREXI. Connected Investors has a site called Pins. It will narrow down and give you the owner's information. And then you have LoopNet, Zillow, and then classified ads. Also, if you're going to look up keywords, will be off market, price not listed, seller finance, for sale by owner, and assumable loans. All those keywords come up, and I'm going to tell you how to get into properties that already have assumable loans in them, and things that do not have assumable loans, and ones that we can put an assumable loan on. So this is like the alternatives to getting into funding. The obstacles that you're going to run into is the seller is going to want you to put up earnest money, or the realtor is not going to let you communicate to the owner. You're going to have a really good letter of intent. If the realtor is going to block the deal and get that to the owner, which sometimes it's not even worth trying, or earnest money, you're just going to have to negotiate with the owner and just basically let them know that we can close the deal within a matter of a couple of days, maybe 3 days tops, faster than he would even get earnest money from anybody else. So I wouldn't let that get in your way. You just have to go out and find them, get a communication going with the owner. If you need me to pull a three-way call and close the deal for you, I can do that too, but you just got to do your part and find them. So the next topic is the loan to value and the price. I'll go over how to set up the letter of intent after I go over this, because this is really a key part of the letter of intent, because it's different than everybody else's. Most everybody else's letter of intent is just blah, 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 retarded. I'm going to pay you this much, but I'm going to tell you how to write a letter of intent that's going to explain everything you're going to do, why he's going to do it, and how it's going to benefit you, and how it's going to benefit him, and how he's going to want to do it. So your standard loan to values are 65%. That's the hardcore hard money. 75% and 80% LTVs. That is between variation between state to state. A lot of your California, you can do 80%, and properties around 10 million or less. But anything above that usually gets to be sometimes 75%, 65%. Then you have to work your numbers off that. Now you get into the 90% range. That's very case by case, depending on certain factors. And then the largest 100% is the private equity, where you only retain 30% ownership. So now we're going over the example of this property right here. 16 million for a multi-use apartment, luxury, almost a luxury apartment in Chicago. It's Class B building. They want 16.8. We'll just call it 16 million. And the net operating income on it is 800,000 a year. So we would just have to find out what the real profit is, because you got to count your loan payment in there as well. So basically there's 4 types of ways to pull this off, or four types of ways to deal with the property like that. Ideally, this property you would be buying on your second level of purchases, because the first one, you're going to find, like I said over here, you're going to find off market, seller for sale by owner, seller finance, or sellers that have an assumable loan. properties that you have direct communication with the seller so you can do negotiations to pull this off. Right now, as is, even best case scenario, if you got 10% down, you got to come up with 1.6 million, or you got 20% down, you just come up with 3.2 million, which after you have 3 or 4 of these things, we can get you into that. Say you pull off $1 to $5 million properties, like 2 or 3 of these, we can do a 1031 exchange and use those 2 or 3 average apartments and use it as a down payment on this thing and walk right into it, and boom, you already got $800,000 a year property. And if we pull the cards right, you're going to pull out $1 to $3 million. But when it's listed, as in right there, and the price says it right there on LoopNet, it's kind of hard to pull strings on the off market. So the second phase on this one would be seller carryback second on, and that would be seller carryback second on top of the table, because the price is listed on a popular realtor site and the lender is going to see, well, it's listed, so he can't really manipulate it. What does it mean to be off market and not off market? Off market means not listed to the public, to the general knowledge of basically the lenders, because the lender is going to go off of what is seen right there. The reason why you want off market, because you want to raise the value so you can pull cash out. So if that thing is, he wants 16 million out of it, and you want to get, say, $3 million, that means you got to get a loan amount of, like, say, 19 million. So depending on what your LTV is, that is how much more it has to be appraised for. And you can raise the appraisal price or go with the higher appraisal if this thing isn't listed. Same with like a residential mortgage. If you have your house for sale and you want to turn around and refinance it, you cannot refinance your house for after like 6 months till you have it listed on the MLS. So if you, because they're going to realize this guy wants to sell his house or just pull cash out, and they're going to think you're going to just default and bankrupt on it, so they're not going to give you a refinance for six months, maybe 12 months, because you just had it for sale. It's almost the same scenario on this. Is the lender knows what the value is because it's listed. So you want it off market. That's what you ideally want, where it says price not listed. That's where you got control. And if you have contact with this seller, you're able to do all these manipulations with the number. So just for example, I'm going to go over the different ways. And so the first way is standard, where we got 10%, 20% down. Worst case scenario, well, 35% down. And that may be, we pull up like some of your other properties, we throw those down on 1031 as down payment, and then maybe pull out $1 million for you, and you just walk right in. Boom. That's a little harder than normal. Okay, so then the seller carryback second on the table, you would just say, hey, I'm not going to walk in with the down payment. I want you to carry back this 10%, 20%, or 35%, and I'll pay it back to you in 24 months. And for doing that, I may give you like an extra 500 grand. That's it. Boom. You walk in. Lender knows about it. You know about it. Everybody's cool. And boom, that deal's property is done, deal, sold. Now, off market is 10 times easier than that one, because, so say if it's at 80 LTV and this thing you want to get, say, 3 million, it's 16 million. So the loan amount is, say, well, you got to say $1 million in costs. So your loan amount is going to be 20 million. So what do you have to get this thing to appraise for to get 20 million out of it? So 20 million, you probably got to get like, say, 30 million. Say 30 times 0.80. Well, that's 20. So you can actually get away with, say, 20.80 times, say, 28. Well, 22 million. Actually, you could probably get away with maybe 26 times 0.8. Okay, so if you got 80% financing, that thing has to appraise for 26 million. And it's off market, so you could probably do it. And you would go off his old appraisal. Because it's off market, that means you can get the best appraiser around, which get you the best comps, give you the best explanation, and justify 26 million if it is that scenario. Now, when we're doing hard money, depending on the state and depending on the property and different factors, say that thing, say you could only get 65%. So you can only get 65% LTV. So if you only got 65% and you want to pull out $3 million, $1 million to cover the loan, so that's basically a $20 million loan at 65%. What does that thing have to appraise for? So 65 at, so 20 million times 65 to 35, you're probably looking at probably 35 million times 0.65. Well, 35 will do it. Or maybe 33 times 33 will do it. What's the lowest you can get? Maybe 31 times 65. 31 million. That's basically the lowest you can get to pull this off at 65%. So if it's off market, you just get an appraisal for 31 million or above and you're home free. And that gets you the 20 million at 65%. So he gets his 16 million. You pull out 3 million cash and you're home free. Okay, so everybody's like, well, how the hell is that going to happen if it's really not worth 31 million? Well, technically, you want to seal the contract and do the deal. That way, you write it up. Say, if I get 65% financing, I'm going to pay this. I'm going to pull out 3 million, 1 million for cost. That gets you 20 million. Everybody's happy. Now, you have that in contract. Everything works out. Now, if the appraisal comes back at, say, 25 million, and you're like, oh shit, it's 25 million, so 65% times 25 million puts it at 16,250,000. And this guy wanted 16 and you wanted 3 million, and there's 4 million in cost, so there's an extra 4 million. So now you go to this guy and say, well, the appraisal came back low at 25 million. Now, since it's off market, this is what you can do. You write up the new LOI and you say, I need you to carry back $4 million, and I'll pay you that in 24 months. That's all written on the LOI. Now, if you got hard money, you would refinance this thing and you'd increase the income, lower the expenses, and increase the occupancy, and get off this hard money in like 6 months. So he'd carry back 4 million. You just got 3 million, 1 million in costs, and he got his 60 million, and boom, everybody walks away free. Boom. That's if it's off market. That is the best way to get into real estate, and that is how every multi-millionaire, billionaire has made it major multi-millions from off market properties. That's how they do it. And all the guys that started, like the main guys, not even talking about Donald Trump. I mean, I'm talking like there's tons. Everybody's done it from nothing, no money at all, out of their pocket from their background, and build up millions and billions of dollars. That's how they do it. Everybody's in on the game. That's why it's off market. So now, if you find this property, say this property is assumable. This is another scenario. If you look up a loan that's assumable, that means he just says, okay, it's $6 million property, and he owes, just say for this example, say he owes 15 million bucks. Say, well, if you just walk in, take it off my hands, and it's done deal. So that you would just have to have cash to walk in, fix up the occupancy, lower the expenses, raise the income, and do some renovation, all that kind of stuff. Now, that's if he's currently on assumable loan. Now, if he's just a cooperative and you want to say, hey, Mr. Seller, can you would you cooperate, and just, if we do a assumable loan, and then we'll have you assume this loan for, let's say we'll have you assume a loan for 20 million. He does it million, and then I want to get 3 million and the 1 million in cost, and then I'm going to take it over, and so he's going to do the assumable loan for 20 million bucks. 3 million is going to, he's going to have 3 million extra, 1 million in cost. So he gets a 16 million, and he kicks you back to 3 million after it closes. And you take over the loan. Now, the only thing is, assumable loans are really prevalent and pretty easy around 1 to 2 million. When you get in 20 million above or 10 million above, it's case by case and it's not always as easy. But now do you see how the numbers work and how things can be manipulated and negotiated? Everybody wants money in the deal. Even this guy that's listed. The only problem on this deal is this guy, your realtor. So he wants his fee, so he's not into alternative financing. But if this thing sits very long, I guarantee he's going to be interested in it. Now, if you write the LOI up where you say your LOI is going to be according to, put all these numbers in the LOI exactly like I told you, depending on whatever scenario, that's going to be your LOI. That is your letter of intent. That is what is the way a letter of intent is supposed to be written up, not just blah, blah, blah. I want to propose that I'm going to buy it for this and just walk away and be stupid, because that's why they get a million LOIs. They don't matter. But you write a good LOI, you probably get, and you give it to a realtor. If he doesn't cut the deal down, he'll get the seller to talk to you on the phone, and then you can work it out. That would be the trick. But you got to get around the realtor or find one with no realtor, or tell the realtor he's getting 3%. You might just put in the LOI, hey, I'm going to pay the realtor extra 1% and get him off the defense and be on your side, and tell him to present it to your seller, to the actual seller. Maybe he'll do it that way. The other obstacle, which I just now realized, is like when you jump from the phase from 1 to 5 to 10 million range, you go from like to the 20 million range. Most of these realtors, whoever they may be, they're going to ask you, well, what is a list of your properties that you had in the past? And they're going to want to get a list of your properties you've closed on in the past. And you haven't closed on crap. So when you have about 100,000, a little bit more, well, there's different ways we can make it appear that you have closed on several in the past and get past that. But if you're doing this like my videos are showing, and you're starting out with the 1 to 5 or 10 million range, we close on 2 or 3 of those. We can start using them down payments on bigger properties like apartments and hotels and pulling out the cash. The whole trick is to get you the first $1 million to $3 million, so you can do this full time and close on these deals once a week, which is doable. Now, even on the 1 to 5 to $6 million, you could still pull out worst case scenario like 300,000 to maybe $1 million, depends on the deal. Every case by case. So you find the cooperative seller, and I'll help you with the rest, and we'll get the things going. Now, I'm going to show you what letter of intents look like. So hang tight. Okay, now I'm going to show you what letter of intents look like, or letters of interest. It's really letter of intent. Basically, I went over the formula about how you come up with the calculations. This is for a hotel, Ramada Inn. Basically, what we're saying is restriction of financing. We're doing $18 million on your deal. At the time of closing, we're wanting to get $1 million back, and if you carry a second mortgage for $4 million for 24 months, then that's how we're going to pull off that deal. That's how you're going to structure it. Just like I told you, you're going to put it here in the writing, and that's how it's going to go. That was just one property. As far as other property, I have a bunch of properties, but the structure's almost all the same. Like this property is, you might want to, I mean, we can present proof of funds without that kind of stuff. I can get you approved. If I have your corporation set up, I'll get you $10 million on your corporation, and then we can pull all kinds of properties. But we got to get your corporation built up with like at least $200,000-300,000 on the foundation of it, and then pay on it 3 to 6 months, and then boom, I got your credit lines coming crazy. And that $10 million credit line is even going to go higher, because all the properties we buy, all these commercial properties, guess what? We're putting them on your corporation, so your corporation credit is going to go through the moon. So this LOI is basically, you write it up, your name, information at the top. You're going to write the structure, and it's similar to the other one. You're going to put your negotiations right here and close the deal. These are basically the agreements that you're going to do. Letter of intent. It's actually just it's the same as a sales contract. I mean it's like the real closing. I mean you can do a contract after it, but you just have to write it to where you get it set up, and then go from there. These are just different examples of different deals I've done. It's like yeah. Every deal is different. I mean, so everything's negotiable. I mean, you just have to be able to get your seller on the phone and set up your deals, and then go from there. I mean, if you have a guy that everybody's wanting to make money. The only people who don't want to make money are the people that want to find complaints and not do anything. But I'm telling you, I've done so many deals. You'd be surprised. So that's basically what your letter of intent is going to look like. If you get a seller on the line, I'll help you close the deal, and we'll get it set up and go from there. I mean, basically the numbers I showed you are gonna be like what I did on the formula. And then I mean, like in the industry also, you might have like mutual non-disclosure, non-circumvent agreement. I mean, that's for mainly property sellers. They don't want you to, you know, or the brokers, whatever involved, they don't want you to steal the property or not pay them or whatever, that kind of stuff. But I have all this stuff for you guys. I just need you to do your part, and then I will help you with the rest and get things going. So now you have an example of how to do a letter of intent or LOI. I can help you with the rest. You just got to get the seller cooperation. If you got to put him on the phone, ideally, if he's cooperative, we'll do that. But normally, you got to let me get you some funding so we can pull this off. And if you got bad credit, don't even call me about a property, because you need help with that. I mean, yeah, you can if you're smart and you're really aggressive and you're getting stuff done. But I mean, we got to get the credit fixed so I can get you the credit to get you in the bigger stuff. So there you go. That is the basics of the letter intent, the LTV, how to structure your price, how to find the properties with keywords, and get things going. So start looking and get some stuff so we can start closing on them. And then we got to build up your credit and get you money so we can get you in even more. Thanks a lot. Bye.